is up, YouTube? It's RSMario here, bringing you another Scarlet and Violet video, as well as a bit of Tears of the Kingdom news as well. So we got a little combo video here today. There's a couple stories that's been floating around that I kind of wanted to talk about. I didn't want to have a complete gap in between now and when I start playing Tears of the Kingdom. You know what I'm saying? I got this on pre-order. We ready to go, alright? You know what I'm saying? We ready to go. All I gotta do is go and get my copy. GameStop already called me and was like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? We gonna be open at noon on Friday, bruh. And I'm like, alright, bruh. So, of course, you want to continue getting videos like this from me. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, do all that good stuff that YouTube requires you to do to continue getting videos from us, from me, as well as comment down below to help the channel grow. Check out my second channel, The Loot Box Hero, where I talk about things that are not Nintendo and anime. So let's get on into this. So first up, Tears of the Kingdom has a day one patch. So this is something that is pretty common. I think I've talked about this with Pokemon Legends Arceus, BDSP, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I've talked about this with a lot of Nintendo games, or a lot of games in general have day one patches. And the main reason for this is because usually the game itself ships, or at least gets printed, before everything is completely finished in the game. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually what happens because of logistical reasons, because you have to send the game to get printed, you know what I'm saying, in time for, you know, the game to get printed, the game to get sent out to all these different places, you know, cases to get made, all that kind of stuff has to be done. So the game has to be printed at a certain time, and the game is not always finished when the game is printed. So day one patches pretty much just put the rest of what they were doing, or the polish they were doing, on the game once you download it or once you buy it on day one. Tears of the Kingdom already received this first update on Nintendo Switch, and it seems that it is not that small either. Update 1.1.0 update is 370 megs. That's kind of big. It's not like super big, but it's kind of big for an update. So the day one patch will improve the game's performance by a lot. It includes an update to AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution, aka known as FSR, which is a new AMD technology that uses cutting-edge upscaling technologies to help boost your frame rates. Okay, helps boost your frame rates. Really? Frame rates. Helps boost your frame rates and deliver high quality, high resolution gaming experiences without having to upgrade to a new graphics card. So essentially what this is like DLSS Lite. DLSS pretty much does the same thing, you know, except for it uses AI and it does it on kind of a bigger level than FSR does. You know, so a lot of people, including myself, has theorized that DLSS is going to be used in the next Nintendo console, and so they're using FSR to improve how this game runs on this current Switch. So I have seen the kind of frame rate issues, the frame rate drops and stuff like that on the one stream I did watch a little bit of before that junk got assassinated by Nintendo ninjas. So yeah, it's there has been some performance issues, and it's kind of understandable because, again, the Switch is about 6 years old. So now the next bit of news we have comes officially from Nintendo itself, and they did a multi-part interview on Nintendo's website with the developers. So now they talked about dungeons. Now, of course, us spoiled people, we already know that there are dungeons in the game, but most people don't know. So they actually, it's kind of big that Nintendo actually confirmed this. So they said, we've only discussed skies, but this title has its dungeons too, right? And then Fujibayashi says, yes, we haven't talked about it, the dungeons yet. They've changed from the previous game. For example, there's a dungeon that connects directly to Hyrule's surface, if you dive from the sky straight into the dungeon, you'll trigger an event. We think this will be a new experience that wasn't possible in the previous game. And then Dota says, we've made dungeons unique to their respective environments, so we think you'll be able to enjoy the wide variety of regional characteristics. So basically, the different regions have their own different kind of dungeon, which is cool because even though like the beasts were different, they were still kind of the same. Like they kind of had the same aesthetic. Different puzzle, same aesthetic, you know. And same thing kind of goes for the Sheikah shrines too. And so Takizawa says, making a wide variety was pretty challenging. The 4 divine beasts were the dungeons in the last game, and they shared similar designs. This time the dungeons are huge and each carry their own regional look and feel, just like traditional Legend of Zelda games. We think they will provide a satisfying challenge for players. So I think this is going to be pretty good. So, I mean, we already kind of know if you've been spoiled, you already know. You know, I already kind of went over it with the Kotaku video. So it is what it is. But the fact that they came out and said it is pretty big. So speaking of big things, Gamefreak is making moves. So Gamefreak and Private Division, who is a Western publishing house, if I'm not mistaken, I think they published like Outer Worlds like before it got bought up by Microsoft and a couple of other games. But they partnered up with Gamefreak of all people, and they're going to be making a game called Project Bloom. And so we have one screenshot from it, or one, like, I don't know, this could be a screenshot, this could be like a render, or this could be like concept art. I believe they said the game is supposed to come out in 2025, which, I mean, it looks pretty good. I mean, this art is really good. I mean, they didn't give any details on what type of game it's going to be. More than likely, this gives me action RPG vibes. All right, this gives me like, you know what I'm saying? Definitely action RPG vibes. The interesting thing is, what console is this going to be on? All right, is this going to be on Nintendo consoles, or is this going to be like some of Game Freak's other non-Pokemon games where they're on like different consoles? All right, so Centro says home update info. So update is ready to release very soon. For the first time, you will be able to transfer Pokemon caught in Scarlet and Violet to previous generations of games. However, the move reset will still be a thing. Any Pokemon transferred to SV will get its moves reset. So basically saying, if you transfer, you can transfer Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet to, say, Sword and Shield. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they're gonna lose all their moves when they go from one to the other. But if it goes back to Scarlet and Violet for whatever reason, it'll get the moves that it had before back, which is pretty cool. So then it says mystery gift for linking Scarlet and Violet will be Fuecoco, Sprigatito, Quaxley. Iron Leaves and Waking Wake won't have Pokédex entries. All they will say is they're still under investigation. With Pokédex entries, we meant for flavor text. So basically, they won't have any flavor text, essentially. And yes, thanks for reminding me, this also happened way back in Generation 2, which is probably a reference to Riddler Q's post, where he posts the trading machine that allowed you to trade between Generation 1 and Generation 2. So then people ask some questions. So Iron Spider 175 said, so you'll be able to transfer Fuecoco to Sword and Shield? And he says no, it doesn't exist in Sword and Shield. Now here's the thing with that. If Nintendo really wanted to make this cool, they would do an update that will allow you to do that. Like, they would just do an update to Sword and Shield and just add those Pokemon into Sword and Shield. It's not like you're going to be able to catch them on the, in Galar or anything, but allowing you to move those Pokemon back would be interesting, and it's not exactly unfeasible. I mean, you know, because we're in the era of updates and patches now, so it's not unfeasible. But of course, they're not going to do that though. So then Tommy says, does this mean you permanently lose event moves, or you can get them back somehow outside of Scarlet and Violet? So if you return it to the original game, it recovers its original moves. So more than likely, one of the reasons why the home update has been taking so long is because they probably have a way programmed in home that maintains the move sets of every Pokemon that you're going to put in home. So, you know, if you have a Scarlet and Violet Pokemon that, you know, and you send it to home, it will save that move set. So if you send it somewhere else, it'll reset, and then you can put moves on it in that game. But if you send it back to home and then back to Scarlet and Violet, it'll have the move set that it was saved inside of home. Which that's pretty neat, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, so that's about it. So there's a couple of updates. So I'm still trying to figure out how I want to stream. I might just go ahead and stream, you know, Tears of the Kingdom on this channel like I've done on my other games. And then, of course, clips will be probably put on my other channel, which is RSM Plays. I think that might be where I go with this. That might be the move here. So that's about it. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, people, keep it real.